episode 2 of the Cacao Codes. This episode is all about calling in the elements, in a way, creating sacred space. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about my connection with the elements and why I feel that it's such a fundamental starting point and why I use it as the first step, the first element of the chocolate dreaming process. So the elements are the elements of creation. So it's said that before there was anything, there was ether. So ether, if you like, is the field of consciousness, or the fundamental field of pure potentiality where everything exists. It's the fundamental field of pure intentionality. So if you like, it's this space where intentions dwell before we've even intended them. So the ether is the all thing. It's the thing that pervades and creates everything. So from this space, ether can also be spoken as space. From this etheric space, the other elements unfold, and it's said that by the ether contemplating itself, the other elements are created. So that's a bit about ether, because ether is one of those ones that is inexplainable because it's everything. So it's more of like a poetic expression just by talking about it. So the story goes that from the ether, this space, when the ether started to move, that's where air was created. So air is movement, it's change, it's setting the intention. And from that movement of the air, it created momentum. That momentum created friction, which created a spark, which birthed fire. So fire raged through the universe. And from that heat of that raging fire, water condensed. From that condensation of water, water is flow, it's allowance, it's trust, it's cohesion. When water falls, it holds itself. So from this water space, earth precipitates out of it. And earth is the firmament of this reality that we walk on. It's the structure. Well, it's perceived as being solid or structured, even though everything is vibrating all the time, including the earth. Yeah? So there is this, if you like, it's a sequential unfolding of creation. And these elements are not only like alive in our space, but they're the building blocks that build up everything. So everything's made up of the elements. So we're not just talking about the wind as in the actual wind that we can feel when we go outside. We're talking about what that wind that we can feel is made up of. So the elements are multi-leveled. And what I've found is, in my research over the years and my interaction with these elements, is there's a good reason why so many cultures around the world, I go as far as to say that all like medicine cultures around the world all revere the elements. And those four, the earth, the water, the fire, the air, the ether, the fifth one, is known by different names, again, because it's everything. So in Native American traditions, it's known as the void. In alchemy, it's known as the quintessence, so the essence behind the essence behind the essence behind the essence. So all these cultures use these elements, and I find it's important that when we connect with them, that's what brings in our space. So by whatever we are going to be doing, whether it's a cacao ceremony, a chocolate dreaming, a sound healing, a personal ritual, or a meditation, when we connect in with these elements, it creates a sacred space. And just by speaking them in, they come in. Because like the ether is everything, and everything is vibrating, If it's vibrating, it's giving off a sound, whether we can hear it or not. So if you like, ether is sound. So by making a sound, we are voicing or vocalizing the space that we're creating. So it is also simple, but it's deeply philosophical. And the beautiful thing about the elements and working with the elements is that they also connect with our five senses. So ether or space connects in with our sense of hearing. So we listen. With the ether, because it's everything and it's space, we listen to what wants to happen. Because our reality is made up of 99.999% space, we ask the space what wants to happen. We ask for guidance in the space. We ask for permission in that space, in that ether. The air is related to our breath. It's related to our sense of touch, because we feel the air on our skin. We feel the breath come into our body. So if you just right now want to take a deep breath, that's the air, the feeling of it. We can feel what it feels like. The fire connects with our vision. Just like the sun is like this big ball of fire, it gives us light so we can see things. Our vision is connected with fire because fire is illuminating. It's transformative. The water is related to our sense of taste. So you can't actually taste anything if your mouth is dry. You can try this at home. So that nature of when our mouth waters, it prepares us to have more of a taste, more flavor, to get to choose our flavor. And then the earth relates to our sense of smell. Like we smell the grass and the flowers, these earthly realms is aromas and smells. So I wanted to share this about the elements, as it is that first step of the chocolate dreaming process of calling in the elements. And there's a different frequency that people can hold depending on the interaction that one has with the elements, or how much experience someone has had with the elements. So for myself, I've been working with the elements for more than 7 years now. 3 of those was I created an elemental temple at Rainbow Serpent Festival, which is here in Australia, which has more than 15,000 people at it. And it was the grounding sacred space. We created altars for each element, and I would spend a lot of time at those altar pieces, also having conversations with different people about what the elements mean to them. So all this information with the elements is, I like to say, lore. Lore. It's living wisdom. So it's ever growing, ever expanding. And I've also looked into different cultures, perspectives of elements. The one that I found a lot in is the Vedic astrology. So the foundation of Ayurveda, which is like Indian herbal medicine and those things, they utilize these elements as well. And it spans and expands from these elements. There is also the Chinese elements, which are slightly different, and I see them more as how the energy moves in our body. So it's more focused, though, that those elemental expressions. Whereas these ones are around creation. So in regards to utilizing cacao, we're looking at this plant that we say is the food of the gods, and really bringing in these elements to really create a space to be able to journey and really have a sense of intention around the process of utilizing cacao. And so that frequency, the frequency we hold, the more frequently we've connected in with these elements, the higher our vibration is, the higher our frequency, the higher vibration, the more these elements interact in. So from spending hours or a week connecting in with the elements, like I do in my elemental living program each week is dedicated with practices and wisdoms to really embody and interact and form a relationship with each element. When one does that, it really does build this frequency and this relationship of the elements where we can be walking in our day-to-day life or day-to-day dreaming and really be able to interact with the elements. And it's such a magical process to have the skills and awareness to do this. And my experience of calling in the elements in rituals, I've done rituals from small chocolate dreamings to large, like 800 people, cacao ceremonies with sound healing, to I actually married some people using this, like the same process of calling in the elements. And what I found, including some more tantric temple nights, in bringing in these elements is also non-dogmatic. So although many traditions and cultures utilize them, you don't have to do it in a certain way. The wisdoms that I share about these elements are from my interactions and my experience. And as a vessel for that, I'm open to other people's perspectives and having these conversations around the elements and what that looks like. So I wanted to share this as episode 2 because it does dive into like a foundation of creation and how we can move into being co-creators, or really acknowledging that we are the dreamers dreaming this dream. So if this is something that like does interest you, I'd be curious to hear any questions you have about this, and if it is something you'd like to learn more about, I'll be sharing more about these, and there's other ways you can continue to work with the elements through this. And within that, it's also having something like this that calls in the elements, a way of creating sacred space with a plant like cacao, which is said to be the food of the gods, which I believe it's also already spread its seed across the globe, to every corner of the globe, and sprouted in everyone's hearts. Because I feel my experience with cacao as well is that it's non-dogmatic. So you can also utilize it in whatever way that you wish. There's no like right or wrong way, but you will know and you'll experience it, because with cacao, it takes you on your journey. It will align you with your path. So the benefit, what I've found is along the way, me sharing my wisdoms about cacao and the elements with others has shortened their initiation into it. So it's kind of like all the information that I gathered, when I share it, the people, if they do the process and they connect in it, they get to get all that like storehouse of wisdom through the expression and the exchange of receiving the wisdom and the practices and the processes. Because really in alchemy, we're really talking about the process. It's all about the process, not necessarily about just turning mercury into gold. It's the process of being in alignment and in that transmutive state and allowing that energy to move through. So they also say that the alchemist can transmute energy within himself, and that is how he's able to transmute the metals. So it's also about raising vibration. So yeah, I hope that was helpful and curious. And I'd really love any questions you have. You can comment or send a voice message or whatever you like. And yeah, I'm so grateful to be able to share this all with you. And I'm looking forward to the next episode. So these ones are done weekly. Thanks for tuning in. And my name is Carl Laz, the Chocolate Wizard. In cacao, we trust.